House has before it Senate Bill 2213, which has been read. Mr. Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 2213 with House amendments introduced by Senator Miller and other House and Senate sponsors. Senate Bill 2213 is a bill for an act to amend and reenact sections 1-08-09, 16.1-10-06, and 16.1-10-06.2 of the North Dakota Century Code relating to the restricted area around polling places for certain activities. Mr. Speaker, your Government and Veterans Affairs Committee recommends amendments which are passed on the previous sixth order. When so amended, recommends do pass on Senate Bill 2213 by a vote of 13 yeas, 1 nay, 0 absent, and 0 not voting. Mr. Speaker.
Representative B. Koppelman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly. Senate Bill 2213 was submitted at the request of the Attorney General and is relating to the restricted area around polling places for certain activities. First, I will start with some background information. From the Attorney General, we learned that last fall an individual sued the state of North Dakota in U.S. District Court seeking to overturn a law that originated in 1911 and was later amended in 1981, which greatly limited or prohibited an individual, political party, or organization from campaigning on Election Day. An injunction was sought on the grounds that the law was unconstitutional based on the First Amendment. The state of North Dakota lost with an opinion that, according to the AG, was specific and clear. The court noted that any prior restraint on First Amendment activities, which is defined as any government action that would prevent a communication from reaching the public, requires that the statute be viewed with strict scrutiny. Upon determining that the prospects for being successful in upholding the statute through continued litigation were grim, the AG visited with the counsel for the plaintiff and suggested that the issue be brought to the legislature to amend the statute to comply with the findings of the court. In review of the U.S. District Court's opinion, we find that the U.S. Supreme Court has recognized one state interest as sufficiently compelling to justify prohibitions on speech, which is preserving the right of individuals to vote freely, effectively, and in secret by regulating conduct in and around the polls in order to maintain peace, order, and decorum there. And that even under the First Amendment's somewhat more forgiving standards for restrictions on commercial speech, a state may not curb protected expression without advancing a substantial government interest. The Supreme Court also wrote that the loss of First Amendment freedoms for even minimal periods of time unquestionably constitutes irreparable injury, and that government entities are strictly limited in their ability to regulate private speech in such traditional public forums, and laws must be narrowly tailored to serve a compelling government interest. This bill was drafted with the intent of controlling actions or campaigning in and around the polls on Election Day, which the court has said is permissible, without further restricting First Amendment rights, which the court has said is prohibited. The use of the 100-foot radius in various sections of the bill is a distance that is widely used in other states. This language will also ensure consistency at polling places across North Dakota. Section 1 of the bill restricts the service of civil process to being no closer than 100 feet from the outermost entrance leading into the building. Section 2 restricts electioneering or campaigning within 100 feet of the entrance to the room containing the polling place. This restriction would include the use of signs of many types and distribution of literature or promotional items which promote a specific candidate, party, or measure but only within the 100 feet radius of the door. This does not pertain to signs in vehicles, billboards, or signs placed on private property. Vehicles or movable signs may only be parked within the restricted area for the necessary time needed for the operator to vote. Section 3 bans sale or distribution at polling places any time that the polls are open, rather than simply on Election Day. This minor change and others in the bill are to react to the current practice of early voting and the numerous days that would constitute an Election Day. Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly, with a vote of 13-1, your Government and Veterans Affairs Committee recommends a due pass on Senate Bill 2213 and asks that you concur.
Is there any discussion? Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the bill carrier yield to a question?
Representative Koppelman, would you yield to a question?
I will, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative B. Koppelman, in Section 3 of the bill, it makes a prohibition on sale or distribution of at the polling place. Does that also include handing out campaign literature? I just wanted to be clear.
Representative Koppelman.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Hansen, this bill does restrict handing out campaign material, but I don't think it's in Section 3. I believe it's actually in... It's actually in Section 2, which would be on page 1 and lines starting with 21, where it says, I'll read the section. An individual may not ask, solicit, or in any manner try to induce or persuade any voter within a polling place or within 100 feet from the entrance to the room containing a polling place while it is open for voting to vote or refrain from voting for a candidate or the candidates of any ticket, political party or organization, or any measure submitted to the people.
Thank you, Representative Koppelman. And Mr. Speaker, if I could ask a further question of the bill carrier.
Representative Koppelman, you yield to a second question?
I will.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Koppelman, is there what would happen with a residence or any other area that happens to have a political sign or just any kind of advertisement? Are they exempt from this with the 100 feet? I'm just wondering how that would work.
Representative Koppelman.
Mr. Speaker and Representative Hansen, I believe that that's dealt with in Section 2 of the bill and subsection 3, where it says that private property is exempt from the 100-foot rule.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the House has before it for final consideration Senate Bill 2213. The clerk will open the key and you may record your vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to, Representative Brandenburg? Does any member wish to change their vote? Key will be closed. The clerk will take the record. The final vote shows 89 yea, 3 nay, 2 absent, not voting. Senate Bill 2213 is declared passed. Continuing.